Howdy, Immortalium here. Today I'm reviewing Moribito, Guardian of the Spirit. Now, before I get into this series, let's just give it a quick summary. So, basically it's a fantasy. It's set in a fantasy world where it's modeled after old Japan, but magical elements or fantasy elements are kind of sparse. They're not very prominent at all. Most people kind of view it with superstition. And our lead character, Balsa, who is the female you can see on the front, she's a bodyguard, and she is hired to protect the prince of a country, Prince Chagum, because basically a spirit has inhabited his body, and because of the fact that his bloodline, his royal bloodline, has been corrupted by such a spirit, control the government into chaos, he has to be taken away or killed. So Balsa has to protect him. So that's basically the plot. There's a lot more to it than that, of course, but that's the beginning of it. And what did I think of this series overall? I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. Let's start off with the characters first of all. So our lead character, Balsa, she is a fantastic fighter, you know, it's a very strong warrior. She cannot kill, or like she chooses not to kill, because she's taken a pact, as one could say, with herself, that she has a reason to protect lives, and she believes that if she kills others in order to protect life, then there's no point to protecting life at all. So she has chosen not to kill. And that kind of struggle is actually very well done, as well as the balance in our personality between, you know, being completely tough and powerful and being kind of more a motherly figure to Chagum. So I think as a character she's very well done. Chagum now himself, his character development is very good. At first he started out kind of annoying. Of course he did. He's a prince, a completely pampered life. And he's been, you know, brought out into the kind of peasant lifestyle, and he's not even aware what hunger feels like. The first time he experienced that, he simply described it as a weird sensation in his stomach, at which point everyone laughed because they were like, oh, you know, you sure are a prince all right. But as the series progressed, he got used to the, you know, lifestyle of, you know, the common people. He's actually a very nice character, you know. He has a great sense of justice. He's upfront. If he views something as wrong, he'll confront them on it. Overall, he was actually a better character than I expected him to be. And I guess the other main character, you can say, is one that doesn't actually have too much to do with those two. He is called Shuga, and he's a star Reaver, I think they called it. Basically, he predicts the fortunes of the Empire and all that through the stars. And he was the teacher, the lecturer, you could say, of Chagum. So he basically he's kind of researching into like a kind of conspiracy thing, you know, figuring out why is it that Chagum must die, etc., etc. I thought he was also a good character. There are other characters than that. There's characters like Tonda, Toya, lady, what's her name? Loads of characters, and most of them are good. But there are several that are introduced that I feel like they should have gotten better character development. For instance, there's one in particular. I can't see him on this box. But he's basically one of the people sent to go after Chagum at the beginning. And we are kind of shown a flashback to him with Chagum, but we beyond that we get no further development from him, and I found that kind of disappointing. So, you know, overall I liked the cast of characters, but some of them could have been a little better developed, I thought. Besides that, okay, now the story. The story itself is very good. It begins out quite slow-paced, and it never rushes in its pacing. So, if you are looking for a series with lots and lots of action, despite the fact that there are some awesome fight scenes in the series, it's a much kind of slower pace, you know, kind of letting the characters develop. And then, of course, you know, you have all the characters kind of converging. Overall, it's a very good story. But one issue I do have with this, from a storyline perspective, is, besides the fact it actually started out a bit slow, because, you know, I guess they could have sped up the beginning a little, but I guess they needed to do that. But my main issue with the storyline is that it has some filler in the middle. This is based on a book from a series called Moribito. It's based on the first book, which is, God, is it 200 pages, 250 pages? Something like that. And this is a 26 episode series, so basically the middle of it, I think maybe 3, 4, possibly 5 episodes are filler. And they're not awful filler, I will say. There's no episode of it that I would go, oh my god, I can't stand this. It's just that the decrease in quality from the main storyline to the filler is noticeable, and, you know, it's not awful, I'll say, but, you know, maybe they could have just made the whole series shorter, and it would have worked out a little better. After that, the animation itself was very nice, very nice. This was animated by Production IG, who have done stuff such as Eden of the East and Ghost in the Shell. Speaking of which, actually, this is directed by Kenji Kamiyama, the same guy who directed Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex and Eden of the East. And recently, what was it, Re-Cyborg 09, which I'm not that keen on, but I'm not sure how many of you have seen that. But he had very nice direction in this, lots of nice pans and zooms and everything. I was very impressed by the camera movement. But the animation itself was also really nice. Kind of beautiful, kind of silky smooth animation for the fights. And great kind of character designs. Again, an issue here is that this series uses a lot of CGI elements. Not like a ton of CGI elements, but a fair bit, you know, like mainly mechanical stuff or large beasts or something like that. And I would say maybe 2/3 of the CGI is actually pretty good and holds up well. But there's some CGI that just doesn't work. Like there's what was it? There was one that particularly stood out to me, where a building was being destroyed, and it was like a water mill, and the mill itself falls off, and as it falls off, it has that horribly kind of jerky, clunky kind of fall, which, you know, it just kind of took me out of the show for a moment. So the animation overall is really good. Just it has those moments where the 3D CGI kind of doesn't really flow. I better bring in the voice cast. I watched this in the English dub, and who was it? I think Genian did this. I thought the voice acting itself was really good. However, I'm not sure if, like, I haven't actually come across this much online, so I'm wondering, is this an issue from MVM maybe? Or maybe it's from the original Genian, I don't know. But sometimes when the characters are far away from one another, like if the camera's looking here and the character's over there, for some reason their voice will sound metallic, kind of almost as if they're talking through some pipe or something like that, I don't know. It might have been an issue with the MVM thing, and it isn't so much present that it can, you know, really bothers you, but when it does show up, it annoys you. I didn't watch this in the Japanese, so I don't know if that, like, I doubt that issue is present in Japanese as well. But I will say that. But from a voice acting perspective, very good English dub. I was quite impressed with it. And after that, I think that's pretty much it. There's no extras on this. If you're going to buy it from MVM, MVM released it in the UK, Ireland kind of region. I think in America, is it distributed by Anime Works? I think it is. And yeah, now the one last thing I'll point out is that this is an adaptation of the first book and the first book only. There are, how many books in it? At first I thought it was 10, and then I went on Wikipedia and I saw like mentions of 12 books or like 9 books, so it's between 9 and 12 books. What was it, Scholastic, I think, with the publishers, started to release the books in America, but due to low sales, they've stopped distributing it. What was it? I think they stopped at about 2 books. So the first book, which is the book that this series is based on, is in English, and the second book, which takes place a year later, is also released in English. But beyond that, no more. So, which I think is a shame, because I would have liked to see how the characters would have progressed. Maybe some of the other characters would have developed more, I don't know. But overall, I would recommend this series. It's very good, and I was quite impressed with it. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and bye-bye.